Terrence Hight here, CEO of the Hight Effect, with my man, Mr. Eric Johnson. Eric, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, brother?
Good. So everybody knows, or you may not know, but I wanted to let you all know what the Hight Effect does. We focus on education and enterprise, and we do that through educating entrepreneurs, providing them with educational content, as well as helping them build and develop enterprises, so helping them build their businesses. And we do that a bunch of different ways, but one of the main things that's really close to my heart as the CEO of the Hight Effect is having strategic partners and these strategic relationships with established business owners that are actually experts in the spaces. So that's what this video is. It's to highlight one of the experts, one of the many experts we have, but this one right here, I'm telling y'all, you're gonna definitely love it. So we just start off, Eric, you want to give a little information on what you do specifically and a little bit about your company?
Yes, I'm an enrolled agent. A lot of people don't know what that means, and basically, we are licensed tax practitioners. Our license comes directly from the IRS. So what that allows us to do is help people with tax debt. So a lot of our practice involves getting penalties abated, getting people into payment plans, getting people into general compliance. If you've heard those commercials about saving pennies on the dollar, we do that type of work. We do tax planning, tax preparation, but our primary focus is helping small business owners and educating them so that their business can actually produce wealth for them instead of debt. But we primarily do that by working with IRS issues.
Gotcha. So question, a lot of business owners may start off with an idea or may start off, maybe existing and just kind of stumbled into business. At what point do those business owners need to be at before they come to you? Or is there a point they need to be at before they can come to you and utilize your services?
Before they start.
So before they start, right. So the groundwork, you're the baseline, and that's a lot of business owners I think don't realize is that at that base level, you need to have all these people set up, your lawyers, your accountants, enrolled agent, whatever, you need to have that. So you can speak more than that.
Now, what I don't want to suggest is that you need a lot of money to start a business. You don't want to analyze everything to death. Well, most entrepreneurs, we're action-oriented people, so we're go-getters. So most of us, we're just going to go and do what we can with the best information that's available. But the reason why I suggest people talk to someone like me before they start their business or in the early stages is because, as we talked about earlier, with my business, I hate tax debt. I hate all debt, but tax debt in particular. Here's why. Any other kind of debt that you get, whether it's a car note or a mortgage, you have to apply for it. You have to get your credit pulled. There's a process. You may or may not qualify. With IRS debt and a business owner, you can easily find yourself like $50,000 or $100,000 in tax debt without knowing it, without filling an application, without getting your credit pulled. And the IRS has the most aggressive power than anybody I know. I've seen them close down businesses. I've seen businesses close down only because their taxes weren't handled. So in the beginning, I would say at least get enough information to know what records to keep, what's deductible, and how you benefit as a business owner, because the tax code is written to benefit the business owners and the landowners. But you can't take advantage of those unless you know how to apply them, and that's where we come in.
Okay. So are there any tips you would give business owners to basically avoid some of those pitfalls that they may fall into, those tax pitfalls, for instance?
There's several.
Okay.
There's several. But the biggest one is, and this is going to pertain mostly to profitable entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs who are producing a profit, especially big profits, say $75,000 to $100,000 or more. Most business owners do not know how to pay taxes as a business owner. And so what typically happens is they'll go through their business year or years. They may barely break even or have losses, and then they have a breakthrough year where they make money. And they will file their tax returns just to find out they owe money because they never paid taxes or are used to paying taxes on those earnings. And from there's where it snowballs.
Okay. Another question I had. So basically, if people get into these tax issues or these tax problems, they haven't paid taxes for 2, 3, 4 years, however many years, like, are there ways out? Because I think a lot of people probably get scared and think, okay, I haven't paid taxes, I'm going to continue to not pay taxes and hope nobody finds me. Is there a way out of that?
There are ways out. In fact, believe it or not, the IRS wants to help you get out of debt because they want to get paid.
Right.
But they do provide avenues that make it easy. Like they have penalty abatement programs where if it's your first time getting a penalty, they will abate it with just a phone call. They have payment plans that are pretty lenient. In some of those programs, you can get into without providing any documentation. There's other programs you can get into where you can pay a smaller amount, but it requires a lot more paperwork on their end. But there are ways. What I suggest, how I approach this with my clients is an offensive and a defensive approach.
Okay.
So on the defense, what we do is keep new debt from accruing.
Okay.
Basically, that involves effective cash flow management and just implementing tax strategies that's designed to keep those taxes low. On the offensive, we're going to directly attack that tax debt by getting those penalties abated, by getting you into payment plans, and keeping you into general compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So those things combined are how we get you out of tax debt.
Gotcha. So you mentioned a good point then, the effective cash flow management. So a lot of business owners don't realize that cash flow is like the lifeline of your business, and business owners have to understand cash flow. Are there different technologies or softwares out there rather that people could use to help manage their cash flow, or should they come to an accountant, enroll agent, CPA, like what?
Well, yes, there's a lot of software I think entrepreneurs should use. It will help you mainly keep track of your cash flow, but it won't necessarily manage it for you. You would have to do it. The softwares that I use Xero for my bookkeeping and accounting. I use MileIQ to track my mileage. And the bank I use is actually BB&T because they have a cool online platform that allows me to transfer money easily online. Earlier we talked about the cash flow management system that I use for my business, and that's the Profit First system. It's a book that I recommend every entrepreneur read, which is called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Excellent book. It's basically a system of how you manage your money, no matter how big or small your company is. And if you run the system, it will help your business to do a few key things that I find very important. One, you'll always have enough money in reserve to pay your taxes, so when it's time to file your taxes, you won't get caught with a surprise 5-figure, 6-figure tax bill. It'll help you to be profitable every quarter and every pay period. Now that is assuming that your revenue is steady. Okay. And it also has built-in budgeting to where you're budgeting so you're not overspending. It's a great system. I could get into it here now, but that would be another 20, 30 hour long video.
right.
But just read the book or call me.
right. Okay. Well, something else you want to add? Or?
Cash flow management. Oh yes. So those tools are helpful, but I have to go in every other week and manage the cash flow myself. So those tools help, but really it's up to you. Or you can hire it out.
Right. So a combination of both the software, and I guess I should ask that first, but a combination of both the softwares and working with a professional is what you should do.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. And I know you've given a lot of examples, but do you have any specific stories to share about issues that people ran into?
I got tons of stories.
Yeah. Okay. You can just shoot it off.
I got tons of stories, but I think I'll share one, and I'll make it vague to protect the innocent. But one that the scenario I see the most, this scenario is about one of my trucker clients who was making some pretty good revenue consistently. Everything in his business was going well except for his taxes. And what happened to him is what happens to most people. He's working, he's making about $150,000 a year gross, maybe net. Maybe he was keeping about 30 or 40% of it, but he was grossing over $150,000 a year. And he never filed taxes. He didn't keep records. So the first year when he tried to file his taxes, he found out that he owed around $12,000. That scared him, so he didn't file. But when he found that out, it was already almost halfway through that next year, and he hadn't paid any taxes up until that point either. And so he did like most people do and just ignored it, And that happened for years and years and years until the IRS came knocking. And when they came knocking, they came strong. They sent him a tax bill for, I won't give you the amount, but it was well over it was deep in the 6-figure mark. The reason that is so tragic is that I am certain that if he had a bookkeeper or an accountant, he would have owed nearly that amount. If he had filed his taxes, some of those penalties would have been a factor. And this guy eventually lost his business, but the only reason he lost that business was because he was not on top of his taxes.
Wow.
The only reason.
Wow.
Other than that, he could have had an empire.
Wow. So that's a good segue into another question. Like, what 3 tips could you give everybody watching? And now that you just heard this heartbreaking story that you lose your business, if you're not managing your taxes correctly. So what 3 tips would you give the business owners that are watching?
1, to file your taxes even if you owe, because what happens is there's 2 penalties you want to be aware of. One is a failure to file penalty, and one is a failure to pay penalty. The failure to file penalty is actually much more aggressive than the failure to pay penalty. So you eliminate penalties just by filing and filing timely, okay? The second point I want to bring about is accounting. If you have good accounting, it's easy to file your taxes and you don't miss deductions that you would have otherwise missed. And if you get audited, you can prove it. If you're a business owner, you got to do what business owners do, and that includes keeping a good set of books. And the third one is to pay your quarterly estimated tax payments. That is the one biggest thing I see a lot of business owners that they fail to do, and it's because they don't know.
Right.
But ignorance of that law does not excuse you from it. The
Right.
consequences still hit them just as hard.
Right.
So those 3 things: is file your tax returns even if you owe, keep up with your books, and pay your quarterly taxes.
Nice.
Those are the 3 biggest things I recommend every business owner do.
Nice. That's very, very, very good information. So, in closing, is there like one overarching thing that you would tell everybody, or that all these business owners that are watching should be, abreast of?
Yes. So I think the overall theme of our conversation, including with your work, is just being good stewards over what we have.
Right.
And if you're a business owner and if you want to be a good steward of that business, you have to keep up with your numbers. If you're not doing that, then you're only asking for trouble. Trouble's only just I think it's the difference between, like I said earlier, building an empire and going bankrupt because of IRS debt.
Okay.
It's that serious.
Right. So financial stewardship is like the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're a good steward over something that's small, it can then grow to something big. If you're foolish with a little bit of money, you'll be even more foolish with a lot of money.
Right.
And so one of the things I advise people is just to be good stewards when you're small. Build that foundation strong, solid when you're small. Get those good habits in place when you're small, so that when you grow, you don't have to deal with the IRS and get scared straight.
Right,
which is what happens to most of my clients. So those are I think that's probably the overarching theme right there.
Okay. Well, this was very good. So I'm sure everybody watching wants your information. So how can they get in contact with you? Where can they find you?
Well, you can reach me. You can email me at Eric, that's ERIC, at jtgtax.com. The JTG Tax stands for Johnson Tax Group. And send me an email, and I'll reach back out to you. My phone number is 404-567-6624.
Well, good deal. Well, Eric, thank you so much for this. Definitely, this was great information. This was Terrence Hight, CEO of the Hight Effect, with Mr. Eric Johnson. We hope you all enjoyed it, and be great.